Hello and welcome to AMC Movie Talk, the movie show for die-hard movie fans. We're going to deliver you the daily movie news and a little bit of insight into what it all means. Hey there, I'm your host Maud Garrett. Let's get stuck into it straight away and I'll introduce to you the panellists. Kicking things off, he is AMC's Editor-in-Chief, giving you both greetings and salutations. It is John Campier.
You're done. You totally took my line. You're gone. Hey everybody, welcome to the best damn movie related show on the planet Earth, coming to you live from right here at the AMC Burbank Studios here in Hollywood, not in Hollywood anymore, Burbank, California. I'm so messed up this week. I'm so glad you decided to make us part of your day.
Also joining us on the panel is AMC's very own Amy Rose Eisenbach.
Not Dennis. Shorty, I don't.
Ladies first.
We've had a little dance party already this fine morning, and it's only 11 o'clock our time, so it's going to be a good Friday, y'all. I never say y'all. That was weird.
It's going to be a good show, that's for sure. And last but not least, he is also with AMC. It is Dennis saying, hey.
Hey, you know how we've been really busy the last few weeks?
Yeah, I understand that, yes.
And then I've been sick, though I've been still coming in and working hard on AMC stuff. So last night after we had dinner, I went home. It's like, I'm going to go to take a little nap at 8 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to take a nap. I'll wake up in a few hours. Went to bed at 8. I woke up at 8 a.m. this morning.
You needed it, though.
So I was like, oh my God. I felt like, remember when Superman fought Doomsday and he had to like go into that coma to regenerate?
Was that you?
That was me.
Are you now Kal-El again?
Yeah, but just like in the comic books, I'm still weakened.
Your sickness always outlasts the rest of us.
Yes.
Dennis.
Really make it count, Dennis.
It's over 9,000. Alrighty, let's get into the first story. The newest film in the Fast and Furious franchise, Furious 7, has already become the highest grossing film in the history of Universal Studios, with over $1.15 billion at the worldwide box office. So it should come as no surprise that this week at CinemaCon in Las Vegas, Vin Diesel took to the stage to announce that another Fast and Furious movie is on its way and will hit AMC theaters on April 14th, 2017, less than 2 years from now. John, were you surprised at all by Diesel's announcement?
A little bit surprised about how soon it's coming out, because the last comments I heard, even after the opening weekend was so big, right? I got the impression they never directly came out and said, we're going to wait till 2009. They never said that. I got the impression from their words that they might wait a little bit and then get things rolling again, take a bit of a breather, because, you know, filming and shooting Fast and Furious 7 was such an emotional experience for all of them, right? So I thought then they had to go back in production, get it all going, and now this worldwide tour and the huge success. I got the impression they wanted to take a breather. Clearly, no breather required. And with it being Universal, the #1 box office in the history of that company, it's understandable that they want to get the wheels in motion. To get this movie going as fast as possible, I get it. And to have Vin Diesel do it now, I knew it was going to happen. As soon as I heard Diesel say that they're doing Fast and Furious 8, I knew, okay, countdown to when the people who have no idea what they're talking about come out and start saying this is disrespectful to Paul Walker happens in 5, 4, 3, 2, and sure enough, there it starts popping up in the feeds. Like, John, don't you think this is disrespectful to Paul Walker? No, in any way, no. It's just the same way as saying, oh, the fact that they continued making Furious 7 was disrespectful. No, it wasn't. Look. If you have I said this before, I'll say it again, and it is completely an applicable analogy. You have a big grocery store, a neighborhood-loved grocery store, and you have this guy named Fred who's a beloved produce manager in the grocery store. If Fred tragically passes away, guess what? You don't close down and close business in the grocery store. Life goes on. And you don't honor Paul Walker by shutting this franchise down, which defined his career, that he put his blood, sweat, and tears into, and saying, oh, Paul passed away? Shut the whole thing down. You think that's what Paul Walker would want? You think that's what his family wants? It's not. So from a business point of view, makes sense. From a talent point of view, thought they might wait a little bit just because they needed to catch their breath. And from a Paul Walker point of view, it totally makes sense. So overall, I like the decision. I like that they're moving ahead. And I like that it's coming in just 2 years from now. So anyway, Dennis, what do you think?
I enjoyed Furious 7. I thought it was a nice tribute and goodbye to Paul Walker. Yeah. And when it came out, a lot of people came out, like asked me online, or some of my friends are like, do you think this is the last one? No way. You know, this is a perfect goodbye. Should they just end the series now? I'm like, no, because there's this thing called money
and success,
and people like this thing called money, and they like it quite a bit. So of course they're going to make another one, and they're going to strike while the iron's hot. So when he announced it in 2 years, I'm not surprised at all.
Amy Rose?
I love hearing little Ray's chuckles over there. I'm not surprised at all. I personally wish they would have waited a little bit because first of all, am I the only person that when I hear $1 billion, I always think of Dr. Evil every time? It's been on tour for this. It's their family. This tragedy really brought them even closer together. That number is just outrageous for the kind of film that was produced. No offense. I think it was great for the genre, for everything, but it was absolutely outrageous as well. And they know that. And I do think it was the perfect ending to the franchise, but I never thought it would end. I just thought, the way they drove off, that tear, Wiz Khalifa song, it seriously gets me every time I hear it in the car and I just fall apart. They really did handle it beautifully, but no one is shocked here. It does feel, because it's still making a lot of money at the box office, it feels a little premature. But again, Vin, we know that he doesn't always keep his mouth shut when he's excited. And so he just kind of exploded with joy. So I'm not surprised at all, but it'll be curious to see where they go from here.
I think Schnepp had it right. I think it's going to be Fast, Furious in space.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious. All right,
or
what's
underwater.
next?
The first official trailer for the upcoming Johnny Depp film Black Mass hit the web yesterday, starring Johnny Depp, Joel Edgerton, Benedict Crumplesnatch, Kevin Bacon, and Dakota Johnson. The film takes place in the 1970s South Boston, where FBI agent John Connolly persuades Irish mobster James Whitey Bulger, played by Depp, to collaborate with the FBI and eliminate a common enemy, the Italian mob. The drama tells the true story of this unholy alliance, which spiraled out of control, allowing Whitey to evade law enforcement, consolidate power, and become one of the most ruthless and powerful gangsters in Boston history. Whew! Black Mass hits AMC theaters on September 18th. Dennis, what do you think of this first trailer for Black Mass?
I really liked it, though I'm sure everyone else, including myself, when they were watching it, were thinking of the Tommy / Joe Pesci scene in Goodfellas, the "Do I amuse you, clown?"
Hardly a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but definitely that's the tone of this overall trailer. But I liked it a lot. I mean, it has a great cast in it, and hopefully it's a return to form for Johnny Depp, who is a very talented actor, but we haven't been able to see it over the last few years, because we've seen, Pirates Johnny, we've seen Mordecai Johnny,
Mordecai Johnny.
Mad Hatter, Big Bad Wolf. We've seen all these kooky, crazy characters, and this is the first time he's done a serious role in a long time, and from this trailer it looks like he's nailing it, so maybe he can get an Oscar nomination, which he hasn't gotten since I think 2008.
Well, here's the thing. I thought the trailer was fan-frickin-tastic. I love that. There's so much. It's difficult for a filmmaker to really produce tension, especially in a still room. And it takes a really skilled filmmaker with skilled performers to make that happen. I'm telling you, that scene where they're sitting across the table from each other, and you said it was a family secret. I mean, it's like, I'm sitting, it's just a trailer. I'm like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? It was so well done. But before I get too excited, let's remember, this isn't his first return to drama in the last little while. He did Transcendence, and I got real excited about the trailers and everything for Transcendence too.
His fault.
And I'm not going to say it was his fault, but it didn't deliver, nor did he deliver what I thought he was going to deliver in that film. And so I think Johnny Depp is the best actor not giving us his best in the last 10 years. I think he still is capable of it. I think he's got an Academy Award-winning performance in him. Hopefully this is the one. The trailer certainly puts us off to the right start. So I love the trailer. I'm really enthusiastic about it.
I loved it as well. It had a lot of tension, and he looks amazing. And Donnie Brasco is one of my favorite performances of his, and he's really good in that genre. And the Goodfellas completely felt that too,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing. But, a lot of people bash Johnny Depp for his decisions. And yeah, we want more. We want the dramatic. We want even Edward Scissorhands, kind of what started and launched him into just showing the many facets of what he's capable of. I mean, he's an amazing actor. And I actually asked him about that for The Lone Ranger. I was like, why have you, really taken up all these colorful vestments instead of doing these dramatic roles? And he just said, going back to the root of the art form. It's fun to just create these crazy, kooky characters. And I admire that he's been doing what he wants. But yes, I want these dramatic roles. I think this is everything. Whitey Bulger is such a fascinating character, a true life human to base this off of, and the bad things he did. So everything about this screams yes, not to mention Scott Cooper at the helm. I think he's really good at this. So I think all the elements intact, I think Depp is going to deliver. And I still think he was good in Transcendence, even though Wally Pfister didn't give us what we wanted.
And what did Cooper do? Oh, he only directed Jeff Bridges to finally winning his Oscar. I mean, so that's a really thumbs up too. But, you know, it reminds me a lot of that whole sports analogy about how, you know what, if the team's winning, the fans aren't complaining. If Johnny Depp was giving us all these crazy, kooky characters over the years and they were good,
The first
nobody would be
Captain
complaining.
was.
Well,
Yeah,
but that's
the first
going
Spice.
way back, right? That's
Yeah.
going way back. But since then, we've had that. What's that one where he's the vampire?
Oh,
The
God, Dark
Shadows.
Shadows.
Dark
So-
Shadows.
That was
He's
bad.
given us Mordecai. He's given us like the Big Bad Wolf.
So there's
He's
too
given
many
us a
kooks
bunch
in the
of
kitchen?
things.
I liked him as the wolf in Into the
But-
Woods. I thought he was good.
Well, I mean, he had a very minor
But he
role.
was
But you
good.
bring up a good point about Scott Cooper because he also directed Out of the Furnace, which not a lot of people saw.
No.
But the performances that he got out of
Incredible.
Christian Bale, Casey Affleck,
Casey Affleck especially.
Woody
Woody
Harrelson
Harrelson.
as
well. Yep.
So if he can bring that kind of villainous performance out of Johnny Depp for this one, oh man.
Like, it's really
Sucked.
premature to talk about Oscars normally, but you're right. I mean, in the hands of this director with Depp in this type of role, this
Yeah.
could be finally him breaking the dry spell and getting an Academy Award nomination.
Or give it to our boy Leo, finally. So.
Yeah. Let's stick with nomination for now. Let's stick with nomination for now. All right, folks, we reached that part of the show for buy or sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Maud has a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down. Then Amy Rose, Dennis, and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Maud, what do we got?
I don't believe that you're simply going to say that, but let's delve into it, that's for sure. Along with the announcement of Fast and Furious 8, Universal Pictures also announced some date changes for a few of their other projects, most notably Warcraft and Pacific Rim 2. Both films are being pushed back, with Warcraft moving from March 11, 2016 to June 10, 2016, and Pacific Rim being moved from April 7, 2017 to August 4th, 2017. Amy Rose, buy or sell these date changes for Warcraft and Pacific Rim?
Selling it for selfish reasons because I'm really impatient. I want to see
want it
Warcraft,
now.
damn it. I hope this is the, video game adaptation that we've always wanted, with Duncan Jones at the helm, that cast. I'm really excited about this. It's been pushed around so much. I don't really have too much cause for concern because it's been in post for a while. I know the team who's worked on it and they're all just, this is going to be amazing. I have faith. But it is moving to, taking my selfishness out of it, to a more prime summer release date. So this feels kind of strategic. And then as we know with Guardians releasing in August, August is no longer a dead month either. It can be really hot property. So these could very well be strategic, but the first thing we always hear being in this industry, if things are pushed back, we always think red flag. This might be just a yellow flag because I really have faith, especially in Warcraft. And I know my man Dennis might be a little more disappointed about Pacific Rim 2 because he's been wanting that sequel forever, but these could be looked at as hotter dates. So we'll see.
Dennis.
I actually sell the move for Warcraft and I buy the move for Pacific Rim too. Because with Warcraft, they're coming out, originally they were going to come out in March, and that was like, I think 2 or 3 weeks before Batman v Superman. There wasn't that much around it. So it could have taken the box office for those few weeks. Maybe it's better than we think because they've been done shooting it for a while. But they're going up against, I think not going up against, but like around that time, I think May 6th, Civil War's coming out, May 27th, X-Men Apocalypse.
Just
June
small
3rd
films.
is TMNT. June 24th is Transformers 5. So they're kind of putting themselves in a much more competitive area where Pacific Rim is moving from a more competitive area into a less competitive area in August, where I think only Suicide Squad is coming out around that same time. And I wish they kind of pushed it back even a week further because maybe they need more time with the visual effects because they haven't started shooting Pacific Rim 2, but Warcraft is done shooting with.
I'm going to go the opposite of you. I'm going to buy the move for Warcraft. I'm going to sell the move for Pacific Rim 2. With Warcraft, although there's a large part of me that's like with Amy Rosa, look, this movie was supposed to come out in 2015. It was supposed to come out this year, and they keep moving it back. But look, let's also keep in mind, this is just a 3-month push, but it's a significant 3 months. I think by pushing this movie from March into June, the June date, into thicker competition, into all that screams confidence to me. That screams to me, you know what? This film can stand toe to toe with all those monster films we're going to put this in the middle of, and we're going to go with the rising tide raises all ships things. That all the people with all the attention are going to want to go to the movies more and more and more, having great experiences, so they're going to want to go again the following weekend. We think this movie can compete in that environment. With Pacific Rim 2, I liked the date it had. I really liked it in that April date. I thought that was a really good one. Put it in there, get into that kickoff area for the summer season. At that point, pushing it to August, you're right. Guardians of the Galaxy has kind of proved that it can work there, but the history has been you don't put the big films there. So it could, look, this could be the greatest sci-fi film of all time. This is just a little bit of move, and it's only a 4-month push. So it doesn't really raise any flags for me. I just don't like this date change as much as I like the date change for Warcraft. All right, what's next?
Alrighty, Variety is reporting that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 has just added another cast member as Tyler Perry has joined the film and will play scientist Baxter Stockman, who in various Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle incarnations created the Mousers even, small robotic creatures originally designed to hunt and destroy swear rats in New York City, but are later used to hunt Master Splinter. Stockman also later goes on to become a mutated fly creature and ongoing nemesis to the Turtles. John, do you buy or sell Tyler Perry joining Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2?
I actually buy it. I don't know if I would have bought it previously to seeing Gone Girl, but after seeing Gone Girl, I think, you know what? His kind of quirkiness and personality, and depending on what they do with this. Now, remember, we had Dr. Connor in Spider-Man 2, right? And we did not see the lizard. So they could just be using him as the scientist character. There's no guarantee the Mousers are going to be in there. There's no guarantee he's going to go through his mutation, nothing like that. But all that aside, I think Tyler Perry is actually the right type of personality to put into a film like this. Weirdly enough, I'm going to buy it, Dennis.
I'm going to buy it as well. I also really liked him in Gone Girl. And also, I think in the comic book, he originally was an African-American character, and April O'Neil was the computer programmer assistant to him. And then when they went to the cartoon, he ended up being a white character, and April O'Neil became a news reporter, which is a lot different than that. But I buy it. I think he could do a good job with it.
It's incapable of me to separate when I hear Tyler Perry from Medea. I'm just throw Medea and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, see what happens there. I will buy Tyler. I do think that he's a pretty incredible human being in general. I mean, his movies make money, and he's just very humble through it all. And I did love Gone Girl. I loved his performance. When he was first cast, I was like, really? You're going to throw Tyler Perry in here?
Oh, I thought that was like the Sesame Street game. One of these things is not like the others. Like Tyler Perry and Gone Girl.
But he really pulled it off. Tanner, and I read the book, and I was like, that is not Tanner Bull, and he crushed it. So I think he'll be good. Do I want a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2? That's another question. No, sell it quicker than ever. But if you're going to get someone, I think Tyler, so I'll buy that he's been added.
I'm excited for the movie. All right, what's next?
Where's Bebop and Rocksteady?
Oh, they're supposed to be coming.
I'm holding out for that one. Next in news, the first trailer for the upcoming new M. Night Shyamalan film, The Visit, has hit the web. The Visit tells the terrifying story of a brother and sister who were sent to their grandparents' remote Pennsylvania farm for a week-long trip. Once the children discover that the elderly couple are involved in something deeply disturbing, they see their chances of getting back home growing smaller every day. The Visit hits AMC theaters on September 11. Dennis, do you buy or sell this new trailer?
As probably one of the biggest M. Night Shyamalan haters in the world, I surprisingly buy it. And you know why I buy it? Because I win either way. If I go in there and see the movie and it's actually surprisingly good, then I've seen a good movie and I'm entertained. If it's bad, and M. Night doesn't just make like bad movies, he makes so horribly bad that it's good movies. We've seen Lady in the Water, The Happening, The Last Airbender.
Blunder.
Yeah.
Last air blunder.
Those three are so bad that they were good, then I win as well, because then I get to watch it and I laugh. I mean, The Last Airbender for me is one of my best movie-going experiences ever. I went there at midnight, and it was all these Last Airbender fans. And like 30 minutes into the movie, the whole audience just turns on it and starts yelling stuff at the screen, every little thing. So I win either way.
Yeah, Wow. Okay, as of right now, it's 2 for 2. I'm going to buy it too. Honestly, look, I think if you were going to ask me last week, what if M. Night's going to try to get the career back on track, if we're going to see the Shamhammer train rolling again, what's it going to take? I think what you could have said is gone, you know what? Go back to your roots, do something horror related, go low budget, maybe something with Blumhouse. Because they seem to be knocking it out of the park with low budget horror, relying more on, atmosphere, creepiness, things like that to make their films work. And what is this? This is a lower budget Blumhouse production with M. Night kind of getting back to his roots. Does that mean this movie's going to be good? Absolutely not. It doesn't mean it's going to be good. But if I'm just going to call it like I see it, the trailer has me intrigued. I like the trailer. I thought it was kind of interesting. And it kind of goes back to that primal thing that a lot of people have, especially as younger people. We are a little bit creeped out by older people. I mean, we are. We just are. It totally shouldn't be. But
Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel goes to that same motif,
They're witch
right?
hunters. Everything's fine now.
Yeah, but they're witch hunters now. So, I mean, he's doing that, and because it's M. Night, there's going to be some kind of very significant twist in this that's going to change our perception. So, for now, I gotta say, call it like I see it. I liked it. I'm going to give it a buy.
Yeah, it's just when I see his name, I just go, oh, man, because he started off so strong. The Sixth Sense was just like, it was a really incredible film. And then every film since, I mean, you could argue that Signs wasn't bad. I thought the end was awful. I mean, you could argue that some Unbreakable wasn't bad, but then the three you mentioned. So from the trailer alone, separating my pain from this man, from getting my expectations really high and then bashing them again, I did like the trailer. I will buy it. And it's mostly because of Blumhouse Productions, because they really know horror. And it's been hit after hit with them, even Unfriended, where I was like, oh, this movie's going to suck. Wasn't as bad as I was expecting. So I just feel like they really take their properties with very delicate nature and the fact that they're kind of coming together. But man, he needs us to be a hit. I don't really think anyone is going to finance him anymore.
Or just good.
Well, yeah, just good. Just not
just
a steaming pile of. But yeah, I will see. But the trailer alone, I think it looks creepy enough. And when we first started watching it, the whole found footage and like doc style is like, I don't know, but it actually worked in this premise. With found footage horror films, it actually can be really good. So I'm really hoping it's going to be good, but I'm really skeptical.
Well, the risk factor that you bring up, I think, is another good point, because this movie looks like it was made for $50. So it doesn't need to be a huge hit. I mean, if it only makes X amount of millions of dollars, then
$100, it's a hit.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
You know, here's an interesting thing too. A lot of this hinges on Shamhammer's name, right? Because I remember that movie Devil that came out a few years ago that was not directed by Shamhammer. It was actually, he was produced by it though. And I remember the first time sitting in a theater, this is really when you knew it was really going the wrong way. I was in a movie theater watching another movie, and the trailer started, it's very deep music, some images, and then from producer M. Night Shyamalan, and the whole place erupted in laughter.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. Even doing a Will Smith film couldn't salvage it. So look, let's not forget, it's not like M. Night was a one-hit wonder. He had, I consider, 3 in a row, solid films in a row. For me, the wheels started to come off with The Village. And then ever since then, it's just been like this. So he's got it in him. Let's see if working with Blumhouse, going back to his roots, low budget, can do it.
With the rules, The Village had rules, this has rules. Like, I hope it's not too much of a comparison, you know?
Hope you're right. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. So, Maude, what's in the mailbag today?
The first one, hold on to your butts, people. Mark Leary writes, I know John is a Star Wars fan, but he seems to hate on so much of the other Star Wars properties. As a kid of 5 queuing up to watch Star Wars in 1977, anything that has the sound of a lightsaber or a laser blast, I am in, for better or worse. Yeah, the prequels weren't brilliant and Hayden Christensen was wooden, understatement. But it's Star Wars. Maybe we could have someone else on the Jedi Council panel that loves Star Wars full stop. The Jedi Council seems to be a celebration of all things Star Wars, but John often picks holes in things. We all know that they are there, but we gloss over them because we love Star Wars. Cue John's rant now.
Well, I mean, to say that I don't love, I mean, what is fair to say is that my primary love of Star Wars is the movies. I mean, because that's what started it all. That is the heart of all of it. You can ask anybody at Lucasfilm, they'll tell you that is the heart of everything, is the movies. It's also unfair to say that I dislike everything else that's Star Wars. I love Tarkin. I love Rebels. I'm so looking forward to Aftermath. There's, and look, I ain't the only one that didn't like New Dawn. I ain't the only, all 3 of us on the panel did not like Heir to the Jedi, but we're going to do our review of that later. All 3 of us on the panel are not fans of the prequels, but that's not really the issue here. The issue here to me, and by the way, thank you for the question, is that something that I think is a real problem in not just Star Wars fandom, but film fandom, regardless of genre in general. Here's what I mean by this. A little bit of background to me, okay? My earliest childhood memory, I've said this before, is my mom watching Star Wars with me. I don't have any memory of my life prior to that. I honestly don't. So as far as my conscious mind goes, I have been a Star Wars fan my whole life. My very first pet was a cat my parents got me, and they allowed me to name it Luke Skywalker. That was the name of my cat. No surprise, it ran away about 2 years later. I had the pajamas, I had the bed sheets, I had everything. Everything about my life, even growing up as an adult, was based around my love of Star Wars. It influenced everything about me from a creative point of view and really pushed me in the direction that I kind of take with my life now, which is all things creative and in different ways that I can get involved in it. So you have to understand that about me. I drove 2,000 miles to watch The Phantom Menace in my favorite movie theater. John, why didn't you drive? Because why didn't you fly? Because honestly, it was my religious pilgrimage. It was my Mecca. It was me and a couple other friends decided we were going to road trip it because this was that important to us, that's how we were going to experience Star Wars. But then comes this notion that if you're going to be a fan of Star Wars, and this is the minority of people, and I am certainly, none of my comments right now are addressed to people who legitimately love the prequels. You know I hate them and I don't like them, but all film's subjective, and if you love the prequels, that's all that matters, and my opinion shouldn't shake your love of those films in any way. So my comments aren't pointed at those people. My comments are pointed at people like you, Mark, who I'm really glad you wrote this in, who say, okay, yeah, we get it, the prequels suck, but let's gloss over it. You write in your question, let's gloss over it. Let's just love it full stop anyway. See, to me, that's not love. That's denial. Love is not sticking your head in the sand. Love is not disillusioning yourself. Love is not denial. You see, when you love something, you want the best for it. You want the best out of it. Maybe an unhealthy amount of yourself becomes focused around that thing. Let me do what I often do, which is bring up a sports analogy. You talk about football fans, right? Go to New York City, man. Go to New York and talk to some people there about the Giants, the New York Football Giants. They are some of the most passionate, irrationally out of their heads, in love with their sports teams that you will ever see. But they also call it like it is. Their love for their team drives them to call into sports radio and complain about the things that are being done wrong. Not because they want to nitpick and complain, but it's because they love the Giants. And I'm sorry, but if you love something and you watch those prequels and you understand that they're terrible and they're bad, like you seem to suggest in your question, then I have to question your love for them if it doesn't make a little part of you die inside when you see the object of your love doing something so poorly. If you look at something that you propose to love and it doesn't hurt you, dissuade you, damage you, make a little part of your soul die inside when you see it not executing well, then I'm sorry, my friend, you don't love Star Wars. You like Star Wars. When you love Star Wars, you are impassioned for it. And that means you see the good and you see the bad. When you love somebody, like a person in your life, my wife knows every bad, rotten thing about me. She doesn't stick her head in the sand to say she loves me. In order for her to say she loves John, she doesn't have to brainwash herself into forgetting all the bad things that are about me. No, what makes her love special is that she acknowledges the rotten things about me. She's aware of the negative things about me and loves me in total anyway, without sticking her head in the sand, like I said before. These are things. Blind fandom is not fandom at all. Look, if you love Star Wars and you love The Phantom Menace and you love Rebels and you love The Clone Wars and you love all the things, that is great if it comes from that legitimate point of view. But don't stick your head in the sand. I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Have been my whole life, always will be. I bleed blue and white. But they suck. They've sucked for a long time. But just because they suck doesn't mean I deny my love for them and how much I love them. Because guess what? Any weak-minded fool can just say, everything about this thing is awesome and therefore I love it. It takes a true fan with true love to say, yeah, that's bad and that's bad and that's bad. And then look you in the eye and say, but I love it anyway because it's that important to me. I love Star Wars with every ounce of my frickin' being. And as long as I do, I will call out the bad things that I don't like, and I'm going to love it anyway. Star Wars Celebration. You saw some pictures of fans that are really happy and cheering for a great trailer. You know who are the guys that had the tears in their eyes? The ones who know how bad the prequels sucked. Because the movies mean that much more to us. And to sit back and watch the trailer for The Force Awakens come out in all of its frickin' glory. Those of us who love Star Wars passionately and deeply are coming off of the pain and the heartbreak and the soul crushing of the prequels. When we see that trailer, it means so much to us who can appreciate where it's now come from and recovered from, that it brings literal tears to our eyes, joy to our hearts, and a song into our souls, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the people who appreciate the new Star Wars the most.
I love Star Wars as well, not as much as you do, or Maud, or Christian. Sometimes when I'm working AMC Jedi Council, I'm thinking, this may be the nerdiest show on YouTube. That being said, if I were on there, I don't have the deep knowledge of Star Wars like you guys do, but I don't like the prequels either. They're not like M. Night Shyamalan bad, but they're pretty terrible. But one of my favorite things that I've ever done on AMC was when we did the 24-hour marathon.
Yeah.
It was you, me, and Schnepp at like probably like 19 of 24, and for like a good 45 minutes, it's you, me, and Schnepp just talking trash about the prequels.
I remember that.
Yeah,
that was
if
so
you guys want to check that out, that was like the very beginning of 2014, our 24-hour marathon.
Like I said from the beginning, if you love the prequels, that is awesome. Good for you. I'm glad somebody can appreciate them. What my problem is in fandom, and this stretches out to Marvel fanboys,
Yes,
to DC fanboys, who will just go, who like to the Star Wars fans who say, I know that the Star Wars prequels are bad, but I'm not going to say it. I'm going to stick my head in the stand and stick my fingers in my ear and sing, everything is awesome.
Dark Knight Rises, anyone?
Yeah, and don't forget, folks, everything is awesome in the Lego movie was written by the villain who just wanted to pretend everything was okay.
That was harsh, Dennis.
And that was...
Dark Knight Rises, there's a lot of people that put their head, and I like that movie. But
I liked it too.
I liked it
there's
too.
a lot of people who like, no, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's a Nolan film, therefore it's a
perfect film.
masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's a perfect masterpiece. Yeah. And
need
then
to be critical. You need
Marvel
to be
people do it.
critical.
DC people do it. That's not true fandom. Ignoring mistakes that you yourself acknowledge in your own head and then pretending they don't exist, that's not fandom. That's just denial. And it's not real love of film. So anyway, that's my rant on it. Let's move on to the next question.
May the force be with you all. Kevin Hernandez writes, has there ever been a remake that was better than the original movie?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on your perspective, but I mean, off the top of my head, you can think of John Carpenter's The Thing was a remake. It was better than the original. Scarface was a remake, and it was better than the original. I don't think so personally, but there are a lot of people who think The Departed is better than Infernal Affairs. I don't think so personally, but there are a lot of people out there who think the North American version of The Ring was better than the original Asian version. Depending on your interpretation, like Lord of the Rings was better than the original animated film that was put out so many years ago. There are a bunch of them out there. Can you think of some others? That I'm
right there,
thinking of?
True Grit.
True Grit, yeah, was better
Coen
than the
Brothers one,
original.
and the original one with John Wayne. If you ever seen it, the girl who Haley Steinfeld plays, it's like, so you can't even watch it. Like you start watching, you're like, oh my God, turn this thing off. So
And theirs was much more similar to the original source material as well. The
Yeah, it
Coen
was.
Brothers was. Magnificent Seven is another one. Some like It Hot. Some would argue Ocean's 11 even, because it was just
Oh,
like...
I totally agree with that one.
Yeah.
wait, are you saying Magnificent Seven is better than The Seven Samurai?
Some would, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm the opposite of that.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying
But
some would.
there are, I do know that there are a bunch
Yeah.
of people out there that like
Yeah.
Magnificent
I'm
Seven,
surprised to
Seven
hear that,
Samurai.
because I watched Magnificent Seven and it just
I think it's
not,
awesome.
I liked it.
Quintessential
But it just seemed a
badass
lot
Western.
more hokier than Seven Samurai.
Body Snatchers. I mean, there's a bunch. You know my stance on remakes.
Yes.
You're always the one who goes, it's not going to hurt the original. And I agree, but I rather see original material. But if you're going to remake it, make it different or make it closer to the source material. So I definitely think the ones we mentioned, I did like Departed a little bit better, but Scorsese is a master. So yeah, I think there's plenty more. I'm sure you wonderful fans will tell us some more, but yeah, it's possible.
All right.
It's definitely possible.
Well, folks, listen, we don't only like to take your questions via email. We love taking your questions via Twitter as well. So just hop on Twitter, tweet out a question, and just make sure you include the hashtag AMC Movie Talk. That way we make sure we can actually see it. So, Maude, what is in the Twitter sphere?
The first Twitter question comes in from Henry Mertens, who says, if a movie adaptation is great but doesn't have the spirit of the book, do fans of source material have a right to be upset?
No, it's a movie. You've got your book. They made a movie. They are not beholden to you or owe you anything as a fan of the book, nor does it take anything away from your book. So I would say, no, you absolutely, I mean, you have a total right to say, I watched the movie and I didn't like it. I watched the movie and I thought it sucked. Totally do that. But just because you're a fan of the book saying, that doesn't mean they should make the movie the way you want it made, whether they succeed or fail. So I don't think they have a right to be upset by it. Amy Rose?
But then why use the book as the basis of the film? Why don't you just say it's loosely based and do something else? But if you're saying it's based on this property and that's the property we fell in love with, damn straight I think you have a right to be disappointed. But that's not the intention. And you always have to know that they're going to do what's best for the film. I think you can be upset if a book really means something to you and they adapt it in a way that dilutes the magic of that book and of that literary experience. I think you have a right to be upset. I personally don't get upset over things like that, but it doesn't mean that you're not entitled to that opinion because you thought you were going to get what you fell in love with. So I can definitely think disappointment can ensue from that.
Dennis?
I think you have a right to be disappointed and you have a right to be upset if you want to be. It just depends on how far you take being upset. Like, are you going to like scorch the earth or something like that? But
don't scorch the earth.
Like we talked about Last Airbender. I have no problem with people who are fans of the animated series being upset at that version. I mean, M. Night really took what they loved and just, he wiped his ass with it. So, I think you have a right to be. Just don't take it so far.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the thing
you're
too.
On fire today.
The problem with like Airbender.
Sleep.
Here's the funny thing too is that like it was so unfaithful to The Last Airbender, right? Yeah. But here's the thing: going back to that sports analogy, if the movie was awesome, a lot less people would be complaining. Yeah. But because it was terrible, because it's all like Catwoman, I call it one of the 3 worst films ever made in history, right?
Agreed.
But what made the movie bad was not that they made her some mystical Egyptian spirit of the cat thing. What made it horrible was not that she wasn't Selena Kyle. That's not what made it horrible. What made it horrible was that it was a horrible movie that just really accentuated the fact that they did all these other things wrong too.
But man, is she hot.
Oh, God. Even now. Like, I don't know how old she is now. She's in her late 40s now, and she is as smoking hot as she has ever been.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
We've got one in from Jamal B. Pulliam who says, do you think Mark Wahlberg would be a good fit for the Fast and Furious franchise?
Normally I don't like questions about, do you think this actor could be in this movie? It's like, whatever. But oddly enough, I do think Mark Wahlberg is kind of tailor-suited to be in a Fast and Furious. I think you put him in that movie, I think he fits in like a glove. And you know what? Him and The Rock have worked together before, so why not? So I'd be for it. Amy Rose?
I'm actually for it as well. And it's funny because Shama Hema Zing Dong, whatever you call him, is definitely in this conversation. And Wahlberg said The Happening is one of the only films he regrets making.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, I think that he's catered for that. He's really good at the cheesy one-liners. He's a believable action star and he's got charisma for days. So I actually think that's a really good idea.
I agree with both of you guys. He's a great fit for that franchise. More so than Transformers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. I think we have one more.
We do. One more from Kitty, who says, who was a better Quicksilver in your opinion now that you've seen both? Was it Peters or Johnson?
Oh, man.
It's a little bit of an unfair question because, we can't say much because it hasn't come out yet. Let's put it, I'm going to say Peters because, but not because he's necessarily a better actor than Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's that he was given a better character. I think the Quicksilver character in general from X-Men Days of Future Past was a better, more interesting, more entertaining character than the one Aaron Taylor Johnson has to play in Avengers Age of Ultron. Not that it's a bad character in Avengers Age of Ultron, but I mean, when everybody walked out of X-Men Age of Extinction, and that was a wrong movie, man. So much wrong with that statement. In X-Men Days of Future Past, when people walked out of that, as great as the whole movie is, a lot of people are talking Quicksilver. I didn't hear anybody talking about Quicksilver come out, even though he's very good in it. I didn't hear anybody talking about it. So for me, yeah, it's the X-Men one. Amy Rose?
It's not even close for me. And I agree. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I mean, we've seen what he did with Kick-Ass, other superhero properties. And the twins are some of my favorite characters in comics. It's just intricate in their relationship and it's just their powers, their capabilities. There's so much there. And I don't feel like they were, without going spoiler territory, utilized as much as I wanted them to be in Avengers. Where in X-Men, he was a standout. That scene where he's doing his thing and breaking out Magneto, and oh my God, I got chills. It's so good. And I completely agree it's about the writing. In the MCU, and proper with X-Men anyway, it was definitely like the way it was just kind of, I don't know, more witty, and he was more sarcastic, and he didn't actually have the accent that Aaron Taylor Johnson they tried to give him, which didn't really work for me anyway. So it was just very, very different renditions of the character, but I think that's smart because you don't want them to feel the same. It's supposed to be separate. So, but yeah, I give it to Peters, and it's no fault to Aaron Taylor Johnson. I think he did the best he could with the script he was given, but I wanted more.
Dennis?
Same with you guys, Peters, and there's nothing against Aaron Taylor Johnson. It's not a spoiler either. It's Peter's Quicksilver in X-Men is just featured more. He has a spotlight scene. I mean, everyone's talking about that one scene. There's no scene like that for Aaron Taylor Johnson and Quicksilver.
Other than when Quicksilver kills Hawkeye.
Oh yeah.
Some people might talk
Actually
about.
kills them all.
Yeah.
He kills them all.
And Black Widow. I hear. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
All right, folks, that'll do it for us for this installment of AMC Movie Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. Listen, don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for all of your theater, showtime, and of course, your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video and you'll find a link to our podcast feed. And don't forget, most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Keep you up to date on all the great shows going on here at AMC Movie News. I want to thank the people sitting at the table with me, the guy in charge of production of all those great shows of AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, on Instagram, dennis.tzeng.
And of course, our host of our fantastic show, AMC Indie Spotlight, and one of our brand new shows, AMC Coming Soon, Miss Amy Rose Eisenbach. Amy Rose, where can people find you online?
At Amy Rosie on the various social channels. Coming Soon's on Monday, AMCI is on Wednesday, and I'm at this big desk with the camp and the team from time to time as well. Thanks, guys.
And of course, our lovely host today, filling in for Ashley and Sinead. Thanks so much at Last Minute, Maud, for coming in and doing this. Miss Maud Garrett. Maud, you did a great job today. Where did people find you online?
At Maud Garrett. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Press the like button and let the adventures begin.
Ooh.
And you can find me on the various social media networks. Just follow me on Twitter or on Facebook at John Campy. Don't forget, guys, we have an AMC Movie News Instagram account where we put up a whole bunch of pictures and things. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you're following us there. Once again, that's just AMC Movie News on Instagram. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name's John Campbell for AMC Movie News, and until next time, bye-bye.